Hope all of you could hear me. In case if I'm not audible, just feel free to raise your hand. Can all of you confirm if you're able to hear me? Or okay, I believe I'm audible to everyone. So let's start this today's session. Okay. So let me introduce myself. So before we get into the actual agenda, myself, Dhananjay. So I've been into IT from past 8 years. So predominantly, I worked on ERP applications like EBS and then Cloud HCM. Okay, so even our my agenda is also towards this ERP system. So before we get into this system, let me just share my screen and show the our today's agenda. Okay, everyone could see my screen. Okay. So today, I'll just brief you, what is ERP, and then we'll get into what is the fusion application, like what it does, and what are all the different modules that we had. Okay, so these are all the different topics like which I'm going to walk through today. Okay, so first, you might someone might have heard about ERP. Okay, so here there are multiple ERPs in the market. So out of which Oracle is one, like SAP is one of the ERP system, even Workday. So there are different ERP products out there. Okay, first of all, before we get into that detail, we should be aware at least what is ERP and why it is going to be used by any organization. Okay, so basically this ERP system will be used by any organization to maintain their day-to-day business transactions. So if I say business transactions, it could be their financial transactions, okay, or their human resource. Human resource means their employees transactions or their salaries informations, or if the company is into manufacturing, this ERP system will help them to to help them to store their data warehouse informations. Okay, so basically this ERP system will be used to store the data in one place. So that will help accurate reporting purpose as well. As you can see here, these are all the different models that we have. I mean, within ERP itself. So if you go by this cycle, it starts with human resource, times and project, CRM, sales, inventory module, and supply chain finance. So our major focus would be into human resource. Okay. So if you the modules, whatever you are seeing, all comes under ERP only. Okay. I mean to say all comes under Fusion applications. So even we can have a times and projects information also in Fusion, and we can have a CRM relation information and inventory management, and then supply chain and finance. Finance in a sense, companies financial transactions information. Human resource means this will it stores an employees information employees personal details or employees family details. I mean to say employees compensation, salary, employees performance and learning, and their health information. So it like anything that relates to employee will be stored in the human resource module. So as I said, major focus also would be into human resources. Even though Oracle offers these offers, but we are majorly focusing on this HCM module. Okay, so if I go to the next slide. Okay, so before we go to see, if you see the name itself, it is Oracle Fusion application. Okay, so you might be wondering Fusion. So why are we calling this as a Fusion? Because this application is a combination of multiple Oracle application. Okay, so what Oracle has done is they took the best feature from their own products itself. If you see here, built on best business processes. So EBS is also one of the ERPs. Even PeopleSoft also, JD Edwards. All these are applications that I mentioned here owned by Oracle. So what they have done is in order to provide best application for the organizations for the customers. Okay, so they took the best features out of these tools. Let's say if I take an Oracle e-business suite. So they took some best features from Oracle EBS and they took best features from the PeopleSoft. Because PeopleSoft also used by many customers to maintain their HCM, I mean to say their employees information. Similarly, EBS, similarly JD Edwards. So that is what they have done. They took the best feature from all these features. If I say EBS, they took the some workflows. If I say the PeopleSoft, they took the user experience. I mean to say the application view. Okay, so that feature they took it from the PeopleSoft. Similarly, they took some from the ED Edwards, and then they clubbed together and they developed a Fusion application. So that's the reason they named it. Also, they have named it this as an Oracle Fusion application, because they developed this by merging the multiple projects based features. Okay, and if you see here, built on open standard based platforms, even though you might not aware of these tools, but this Oracle application has been developed by using these technical technical tools, Oracle Server, WebLogic servers, iDeveloper. So even though we are not going to work on this, but at least we should be having some knowledge. Some knowledge, so we should be aware how this has been developed. So what are all the tools have been used? Okay, so these are the different totals that have been used to develop this Oracle Fusion application. So here we should majorly focus on this one deployed through the selectioners, because wherever, even if you go for an interviews and everywhere, so you will be getting the questions what is public cloud or on-premises, hybrid and private cloud. So let me explain this public cloud and on-premises and hybrid and private cloud. Okay, so basically cloud, in a sense, we will be storing the data in cloud. Which means it will not be having a physical copy at the client location. I mean to say the customer location. So cloud, in a sense, that the data will be stored at the Oracle servers only. I mean, whatever the data, let's say data, in a sense, let's say I am entering some data in the application. Let's say I'm hiring an employee, which means I might be entering some data that is related to the person, right? So whatever we are entering the data or whatever information that we are storing in the application will be stored in the servers. Okay, so those servers will be maintained by Oracle. Okay, so that's what we call it here as a cloud. Okay, so public cloud. So if it is an on-premises, the data will be stored within company premises itself. And let's say I, as a customer, if I choose to implement this Oracle Fusion application, okay, so which means whatever the data that I store will be stored within my company premises only. I mean to say all the servers and all will be maintained within my company premises. Okay, if it is private cloud, in a sense, so the difference between public cloud and private cloud, in a sense, the public cloud data will be maintained by Oracle. So private cloud, in a sense, even though the data will be stored in the cloud, but still the service and the maintenance needs to be done by the client itself, because this will be chosen by financial clients. I mean the banking clients, because their data is pretty much confidential. Okay, so in those cases, those customers will be use this private cloud. Hybrid, it's in a sense, it's a combination of a public cloud and private cloud. Some data will be stored in public and some data will be stored in the private cloud. So that's the reason we named it as a hybrid. Okay. So let me move on to the next slide. Okay. So basically, you always might have heard these names on-premises. So these are all the deployment models in Fusion. Say on-premises, infrastructure as a service, which is IaaS. Okay. Infrastructure as a service, IaaS, and this is SaaS, platform as a service, PaaS, PaaS. And the last one is going to be SaaS. Okay. See here, if you notice here, it's highlighted by managed by clients and managed by providers. So the difference is that if something is going to be managed by client, in a sense, the maintenance will be handled by the client itself. Okay. So if it is managed by provider, in a sense, the maintenance will be handled by Oracle, because the ERP tools owned by Oracle, right? So they are the provider. So they will be maintaining the services. So if you see that there is a color highlighted, right, the pink color, so which means applications. Let's say if I as a customer, if I choose to implement any this ERP and on-premises instances, I need to maintain the applications, I need to maintain the data, runtime, and then OS, then servers, networking, storage. Everything needs to be maintained by client itself. Okay, so this will be like bit cost for the customer as well. Okay, so in case if it is managed by providers, so if you observe from on-premises and SaaS, so there is a lot of difference. It's completely like an opposite on-premises, whereas on-premises, like this maintenance will be done by clients. In case if it is SaaS, software as a service, maintenance will be done by the providers. Here in our case, it is going to be Oracle because they are the one who provides the application access, right? So like if you choose to implement this Oracle on SaaS module, so application also will be maintained by Oracle. It means in case if you are unable to access the applications, if you get some errors, Oracle will be helping out, and the data also, even the runtime, middleware, OS. So all these things will be maintained by Oracle only. In case if you go by PaaS, so only applications and data will be maintained by the clients, and the remaining thing will be maintained by Oracle. In case if we choose to implement the customer as IaaS, this applications data runtime will be maintained by clients. I mean, half of the maintenance will be done by clients and remaining will be maintained by the providers. So most of the cloud HCM implementations will be done on this platform, which is software as service. Almost like out of 190% implementation will be done on SaaS modules, because this cloud mean I mean to say the data will be stored in Oracle, because this will by using this software, I mean to say by using this, so customer no need to maintain these things like application, because if we need to maintain application, we need to have a team. Even for data, to maintain the data, we need to have a DBA team on our runtime. IT team is required. I mean, the administration team to maintain the runtime, middleware, and OS server. So even the maintenance cost also will be high. So that is the reason most of the customers are preferred to implement the HCM applications and SaaS model. Okay, so these are the deployment models. So we just need to have a knowledge what are all the deployment modules that we had. So once you start working on this, so you might be hearing this SaaS and then PaaS. Okay, SaaS in no sense, the major difference you could see here, like applications data will be maintained by client, but whereas in SaaS, everything will be maintained by Oracle only. Okay, so this I mean, in my experience, I never see the customer who implemented the HCM on this on premises. Okay, so most of the projects will be done on SaaS model. Okay, so if I move on to the next one. Okay, so if you see a Fusion product families, so product innocence, because Oracle Fusion offers different products. So as I mentioned in the second slide, so there are financial management, human capital management, customer relationship, project portfolio, procurement, supply chain. If some company wants to implement financial management, so they can implement they can capture all the financial transactions. If someone decided to implement HCMS, so they will be having a provision to stores the employee data like payroll data, recruitment information, compensation, benefits. Okay, and then HR help desk in no sense they can they can have their own ticketing tool to raise any tickets, and that will also this tool will also help them to to store the employees health related information. Okay, so this will also help to analyze the employee skills and their performance as well. Okay, so I'm not going to in detail about the other modules, because even I'm not that much expert other modules, because our focus is majorly would be in the human capital management. Okay. See, if you see here you might be wondering if any customer wants to implement Fusion, so do they need to implement all these modules? That's completely wrong. It doesn't mean that company has to implement all these modules. It's completely depend upon the customer. If they want to implement human capital management alone, so yes, they can do that. They can implement this human capital management alone itself. If some company wants to implement HCM and then financial management, yes, they can do that. And also within human capital management itself, so there are some companies who are implemented only one module itself, global HR. And there are some companies who implemented talent management and learning management alone in Oracle Fusion. Okay, so it's completely up to us. Okay, completely up to us means it depends upon the customers. So there is a flexibility of opting these modules implementations. If they want to implement only one module in Fusion, yes, they can do that. So there is no dependency on the other modules, but the dependency here is the core HR is the base in HCM. Okay, so if I move on to the next one, we will be seeing the different modules. Okay, see, if you see here, this is a high level, this is an overview of the HCM. So basically, if HCM in a sense, it's a hire to retire process, because whatever the process or whatever the transactions are going to happen during these stages, like hiring to retire, will be stored in the application. So because hiring in a sense that comes under the recruitment. Let's say there is a vacant position, company wants to fill up that position. So what there is they post that job in the job portals. Okay, and then they will source the candidate and they schedule the interviews and they will release the offers, and then candidate will get on board. Okay, so that entire process will be captured in the recruitment model. Okay, so once the employee get hired, even their information also will be stored in the core HR model. And the second one is track and pay. Track and pay, in a sense, track means it's tracking the employee's attendance in the system, because the pay will be done based on the days that employee attended the company, right? So this information also will be captured in the system, because if you have worked for, maybe you might have worked for 30 days, but you haven't entered the those days in the system. So in that case, system will assume that you have not attended or you have not worked on the specific day. So system what it does is it deduct the salary based on that. So that information will be captured in track and pay. Similarly, we do have a learning. So this will, this learning model will help the any organizations to employ to enhance the employee skill set. Okay, so because if to say the trainings can be conducted in the learning modules. We can create some courses, can assign it to some employees. Let's say there are some employees who have recently joined into the company for some specific project. Okay, that project might require some new skill. So instead of sending sending those employees to any outside trainings, so they can simply create a course, okay, in the system, and then assign that to the all specific population, so that they can go through the training and they can improve that skill. So they can fill that gap. So that process will be done in the learning module. Similarly, we have a talent management. So talent management will allow organization to evaluate the employees' performance. Okay, so performance here, in a sense, there are two things. So because in every organization there will be targets, right? So be it IT employee, be it sales or anything. Okay, everyone will have their own target. Like if you're working in IT, so you might be having a target like you need to work on this project. Okay, and you need to deliver all the tasks on time. Okay, so you need to support the customer by 24/7. So those are your objectives. Those are your targets. Okay, so based on the targets only, you will be getting hiked, right? Let's say your company has allocated one project. If you're not performing well, obviously they will not be getting hiked, right? So that assessment process will be done in the talent management model. Okay, sorry, there is some typo history here. So this is the benefits. So benefits, in a sense, like say this benefits model will be used to provide a benefits based on the employee performance. See, employees performance exceeding exceptionally. So then a company decided to give some bonus or some benefits to those employees. Okay, and company might offer let's say 20,000 K as an benefit as a reward. Okay, see, there is one critical project where employees working on it. So that might be pretty much like a critical task or critical project for company. If whoever accomplish that project on time, so they might get 20K bonus. So that kind of information will be captured in benefits model. The last one is exit. So exit, in a sense, like once employee get resigned or terminated, so they need to go through some sort of formality, right? They need to submit laptop, or they might need to submit time sheets, and there could be some formalities. So all the formalities also will be done in the exit management. Okay, so this is overview of HCM. Okay, so you might be wondering whether do we need to have a like for any technical knowledge or like any coding knowledge. So I would say like, and I can say like there are two things here you need to remember. So one is functional and technical. Okay, so every ERP product will be having like two different types of things, functional and technical. So in case if you want to work on technical thing, yes, definitely you would need to have a good exposure in the technical, I mean to say the coding, I mean to say SQL. In case if you decided to pursue your career in the functional side, then no need to have a coding knowledge or coding experience at all. Even if you're not even aware of what is SQL, also still like you can learn this one, because tech coding knowledge doesn't require at all. Because so technical analysis, technical consultants, what they does is, so they will basically like work on the technical side, means report, developing the reports. Okay, so integrate the system with third parties. So reporting, in a sense, once we enter the information, so we need to extract that information from the system, right? So else how does like top management people know that like how many employees are working, okay, how many employees are attended, how many projects are there in the company now, okay, so how much bonus we are providing. So in order to extract that information, so definitely we need to have a reporting. So to develop a reports, yes, we need to have a SQL skill. But whereas for functional, it's all about like interacting with the client. Okay, so interact with the client in a sense when we decided to implement this HCM module. Okay, so basically we move. It's like more into like talking with the customers. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, sorry. So as I was saying, like for functional, like we no need to have any technical exposure. So even if someone doesn't even know the SQL, still they can for sure they can go like learn this HCM. But in case if you decided to, let's say you have some knowledge in SQL, you are good expert in SQL, so then I would suggest you to like go through the technical. But as I said, like for functional, we no need to have coding experience or coding knowledge, because every module will be having a functional and technical. So functional people, what they does is, so they interact with the customer to understand their business process. So technical people, what they does is, so they will mostly interact with the functional people, I mean to say within the internal team only. So this is what it is. Anyway, so this we have already covered. I guess that's it for today's agenda. If anyone have any doubts, you can reach out to Varun. I mean, you can reach out me through Varun. Any questions from anyone? Hey, hi Varun. Are you there?
Hello, Dhananjay.
Yeah, Varun. So we are done. So
Dhananjay, this is Ravan. This is not Varun.
oh, okay. Yeah, Shravan, please tell me.
Okay, you have any doubts about classes? Contact me.
After, excuse me, sir. Good evening, sir.
Sai Krishna, Chapane.
Good evening, sir. After learning of HCM, what the job work in we will do in real time? What's this overview of HCM?
Dhananjay? Hello.
Yes.
Okay, can you explain about the
Okay. So your
future?
question is that, so once we complete this training, so what is the work that you are going to do? Is that what your question? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let me explain. So the work is going to be like, let's think that like, I am a customer. Customer here means, let's take an example of Infosys. So Infosys is the client. Okay. So currently they decided to implement this Oracle Cloud HCM. Okay. So as I explained, so this Cloud HCM will be enable organizations to store their employees' information. Okay. So in order to implement this system, we need to discuss with the clients, right, to understand their current process innocent. See, if someone decided to implement HCM innocent, before that they might be using some system, or they might not be even using any system. So let's say to hiring an employees, they might be just using a some Excel sheets. Let's say today I am going to join in the I am going to join in the Infosys. So what they are going to do, they might be entering, or they might be storing that data in some Excel sheets, or they might be using some sort of different tool. Okay, but when when they decided to implement HCM, so we need to collect that information from the client first. We need to discuss with the HR team members. Okay, let's say we need to, let's take an example of hiring. So we need to ask them how the current hiring process is being done. Okay, let's say what are all the different job orders that they are using. Okay, so what are all the different interviews setup that are available. Okay, what are all the different approvals, offers are available. Let's say, because offers will be a different based on the grade here, in a sense, based on the level. For a fresher there will be different offers. Okay, so for experienced person there will be different offers, right? So we need to understand all these kind of processes from the business, to say that from customer. Okay, so once we get this information, so we will be configuring the system according to the business requirement. Okay, so let's say if clients decided to have a two job portals like Naukri and Monster. So in the Oracle applications, we need to link those job portals. Let's say if once I post the job in Oracle, that needs to be posted in the Monster Naukri as well. Okay, so that kind of configuration we need to do in the system. Similarly, if the customer, if client has decided to have two different approvals, to say two different offer letters for interns and freshers. Okay, so which means here also we need to create two different approvals. When some intern is going to join in the company, system needs to release the offer letter, okay, which is related to the intern. If some experienced person is going to join in the company, system should be automatically generate the offer letter related to the experienced person. Okay, so these are the information that we are going to configure. It's all about getting and understanding the client business process. So business process, in a sense, their current process, because every company might be hiring an employees and terminating employees, paying salaries, right? So some companies might be using tools, some companies might not be using tools, some companies might be just maintaining all these data in some Excel sheets itself. Okay, if they are maintaining Excel sheets, so they definitely they would be losing track. There's at some point of time they might get worried, like we are not sure how much we are paying. Okay, so in order to avoid those, we'll be using this HCM as well. So you will be getting more idea on it, once we complete couple of classes. But at the high level, this is what it is. Sorry. Any more doubts? Hello. Varun, any doubts?
Okay, Dhananjay, tell me.
No. Any more doubts from anyone, or are we good to conclude the call?
Okay. Sai Krishna?
Sir, doubt cleared, sir.
Okay. If you have any doubts, please ask him. He will clear.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
As you said, you're offering functional. You said functional and technical.
Yes.
So what you are
Yeah.
offering? What?
I'm going to train you on the functional, not on technical.
So functional means it's like drag and drop.
No, it's not a drag and drop. It's creating. See, drag and drop is like, that is drag and drop is that comes more into the reporting purpose. Like if you let's say Tableau is a drag and drop tool where you like if you want to have some reports, so then you will be just drag and drop. BI is also drag and drop. So that is complete. But whereas HCM is completely different. So as I said, it has a functional and technical. Functional means you need to you need to create the system based on the requirement, based on the business, based on the client. So both are completely different. It's not a drag and drop.
Technical means you have to write it.
No, it's not writing code. So as I said, like, if I take an example, let's say we are hiring an employee. Okay. So when we are hiring an employee, we need to store the employee's data, right? Like it could be employees' personal details, like their family details. Okay. So in the system, we need to create a placeholder. I mean to say to capture that family's information, we need to create some fields in the application. So only then system will allow us to enter their family informations, right? So those kind of configuration, like, we will be doing in the system, like, first name and last name, or your visa information or your passport information. Okay. So system, what we are going to do is we will be creating those information in the system so that when employees like, access the system, they will be able to, they like, upload their passport or they upload their visas information. So those are the examples I given. But as I said, it's not a drag and drop. It's like, application which will be used to store the data. It could be HCM employees information data, okay, or their absence information data, or their salary information data, or their certifications data, or promotions data, or their terminations data.
Oh.
Yeah. Is that
Hi
clear?
sir.
Yeah.
Hi sir. Bharat. This is Bharat.
Yes,
sir.
Bharat, please tell me. Yeah.
How is opening Oracle HCM, sir?
The openings are quite good at this moment. Like, I mean, as of now, even because this is a cloud tool which has been like developed by Oracle. So Oracle itself, it's a like big brand. So you don't need to worry about the job openings on cloud HCM functional. Even if you learn like 2-3 models, also that is well and good to get a job. But it's all about putting efforts.
How many days this domain completed, sir?
It will take like like 40 days.
40 days.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Sir, training will be on both weekday and weekend.
Most probably it will be in weekdays, so weekends we will update.
Okay.
It
And
depends upon, yeah.
this is the same link for every day.
Link we will be updating on the link. So
Okay.
Sanya, this is the same link for the everyday. This is the same link.
Sir, you are okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, like in ERP 6, no, you're offering human resources in that you're
Sorry,
shown
your voice is not audible.
human resources. They're showing the 6 columns. So thus you will teach the 6.
No, I could not hear you.
In the ERP, you said no 6 type varieties, 6 variations. That human resources, there are 6, 4 slide floor.
Yes.
Slide 6, I think so. Slide
Okay.
that you are offering the 6.
Okay. I mean to say the different. Okay. Is that the one?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So all these are the different products. I mean, so finance is one product.
Human capital, like the 6, we are teaching the 6.
So it has a modules. So this see, global HR is one module, payroll is one module, onboarding recruitment fraud is one module, compensation benefits is one module. Okay. So one more thing I would like to tell here is, so in case it doesn't mean that you need to expertise on all these modules. So as I said, even if you are good, if you get good exposure on global HR, learning management, and talent management, so that would be good enough to get a job. It's not that you need to expertise in all models. It's not at all feasible also. It's not even possible. One person having a good expertise in all this module.
For job, there is no problem. If you learn one also, you can get
Yeah,
very.
even if you get good exposure in global lecture talent management, that would be fine enough to get a job on interview calls also. That I'm sure. So that's what it is. Because see, frankly speaking, if you want to a good exposure on payroll and then the compensation, then we would need to have some technical skills. So there's a reason. So these modules will be having 80% technical and 20% functional. But whereas global HR, ORC, talent learning, okay, we'll have 100% functional.
Yes, sir. So now you have to learn this techniques in the course. You have to learn all 6 or any one. That's the only doubt.
So sorry.
In course, you will teach all 6 or any 1 or 2.
No, I'll be explaining global HR, learning management, because the talent management itself have a sub modules. There are 4 to 5 sub modules. So talent management is a bit huge one. It has 4 to 5 sub modules like goals, performance, career development, talent review, and then learning management, and then global HR, and then ORC. So even if I'm going to explain all these 4, it's up to you, because in case if you are good enough to practice on these 4 modules, that would be added advantage to your profile. But in the resume, let's say most probably we'll be going to click global HR, learning, and talent management. So our focus is also more into these modules along with the ORC. Yeah. Okay, then. Varun, shall we conclude?
Okay, Dhanji.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.